Welcome to the Wolverine Digest podcast, the best spot for objective and authentic coverage of Michigan athletics. If you want open dialogue, honest opinions, and in-depth coverage of the maize and blue, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's your host, Brandon Brown, joined as always by Chris Breiler.
I just want to start by saying go blue.
Well, dude, we're back again. I mean, I'm pretty proud of us keeping to this Wednesday schedule for the offseason.
Some consistency in our game finally.
Feels good. And you know what else feels good? We're joined by a Michigan football player tonight. I know we haven't been doing that a ton because it's the summer. We're only on once a week. There's not a ton of stuff happening out there, but the players are officially back at workouts now. The Michigan football Twitter account has been putting some clips out there, getting people excited. We're still, I think, what it'd say, 87, 88 days, something like that, until Michigan kicks off. So that's obviously a little bit down the line now. But we're excited to be joined tonight by third-year defensive lineman. And we're going to get into the specific title of what we're going to call him. That's one of the things we're going to talk to him about. But we got Kris Jenkins on the line tonight, man. Chris, thanks so much for joining us, bud. We appreciate it.
Oh, no, pleasure. Appreciate y'all for having me.
Well, Chris, you've got some accolades for the third-year big fella here, some of the stuff that he's done. And you told me before we went live that you got some optimism for this guy, do you not?
I have a lot of I was looking at his background, and I guess I didn't realize that, there was as much there as there was. So I'm just going to read it for everybody so that they know who exactly we're talking to here. But Kris Jenkins, heading into his third year this year, he was an academic Big Ten honoree in 2021, appeared in 15 career games. He's got 4 starts along the defensive line. His father, Chris, Big Chris, right? That's what we call him, Big Chris.
Big Chris.
10 years in the NFL, second-round draft pick. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. So the pedigree is there. I mean, I feel like this guy, has all of the pieces right there to just sort of take advantage of what's in front of him. So I'm excited to have you here, Chris. I know that it's Chris on Chris, so we're going to get – so I'm old Chris. Is that what we decided? I'm veteran Chris?
I'm okay with veteran Chris. If old was a little harsh, I know Chris. Okay. As soon as we said that, Chris was like, damn, calling him old. I mean, you're not that old. You're only a couple months older than me, so we can go with veteran Chris. That'll work.
We'll go with that. We'll keep it. So do you want me to kick it off? You want me to get us started here with the interview?
Let's get going.
Before we talk football, Chris, I got to ask you. Today, I fell off my diet a little bit. I don't know if people know it out there, but since February, I've lost 53 pounds. But today I fell off the wagon hard, and I went to the McDonald's well. And I hate myself for it. I feel like trash right now. But I'm curious. You're a top athlete. When you fall off the wagon, when you really got a hankering, where are you going? And it can't be something like, I don't want to hear about a steakhouse or anything like that. Like, give me the nitty gritty, down and dirty. When you're hungry, where are you going to eat?
All right. When I'm hungry and I'm falling off the wagon, nutrition is mad at me. Got to get a cheat meal. It's either going to be McDonald's. Might even go to 7-Eleven, get some ramen noodles. That's what
Oh my goodness. That's down and dirty. The 7-Eleven ramen?
That's muddy.
Yeah, that is pretty muddy.
I'm known for that. People don't like the way I make my ramen, but
okay. I didn't expect to hear that. I did not expect to hear 7-Eleven ramen right there.
I feel like for a lot of people, it's McDonald's. That's just the easy go-to, man. It's on every single corner, and I mean, they got something there for everybody. We'll move on from the junk food. Let's get away from the junk food and talk about the 2021 season a little bit. I want to look back before we start to look ahead. You guys obviously had one hell of a run last year. We don't need to go through everything that happened because you lived it firsthand, but I am curious, what was that experience like for you? You guys, I mean, there were some incredible moments in the 2021 season. What sticks out for you personally, individually, as a moment that's like, man, I'm never going to forget that?
The Ohio State game, never going to forget that. And I know it was interesting because we've been talking about it for the entire year. We were building up to that game, everything we did, every workout, every practice. Y'all even saw the slogan we had that was like, how are you going to beat Ohio today? And it was just when we got there, everybody was ready. Everybody was poised. Everybody knew what time it was. There was no nervousness, no nothing. So we were everything just like, it made sense. It just worked out. And you could kind of, if you were there, you could kind of feel it. The atmosphere was different.
So I actually saw a video. David Ojabo was talking about what it was like being down on the field post game. He said it was crazy. I think he said, if I remember correctly, somebody even tried to like jack his helmet, run off with his helmet and take it. I mean, you were down on the field. I saw a picture of you embracing somebody. Just describe what that moment was like. The snow's falling. I mean, talk a little bit about that after the game.
Well, it was awesome. I mean, at first, when the crowd rushed the field at first, like it was amazing. It was like a movie. It was a movie. Everything just, it made sense. We were all happy. Some of us were crying. It was a long time coming. I want to say after a good like 5 or so minutes, I was like, all right, trying to get back to the locker room. couldn't really do that. People
were people trying to take your gear? Did you feel like
they was trying to get some gloves, man? I was like, oh, these for me. I want to keep these.
Right? Yeah, that's wild. I mean, I could see how that could be fun at first, and then at some point you're like, oh shit, people are trying to take my gear off of me. Like, that's got to be a wild scene. I
mean, we got a fan right here, Chris. Look,
there
Travis
you go.
Connor from the Facebook page got a video of you in the tunnel. Apparently, you were going crazy, probably. So, like you said, the excitement, you got some tears, you got everybody's real happy. I can't even imagine what that's like. Chris, veteran Chris, how many people were on the field? Do you remember, like, how many, like, I'm trying to think back to, like, what looked like who was left in the stands and how many people were down on the
there had to have been, 65,000 people?
I was thinking it had to be at least half the stadium.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty incredible because we were up in the press box. So to watch it from our vantage point, you could kind of, you could see it all happening, and it was pretty cool. But I'm sure quite a different experience from your vantage point. And we'll get to Ohio State a little bit later on the show because I do want to ask some questions about what you brought up. But from a personal standpoint, I mean, you guys have lost a lot on the defensive side of the ball. And even the most friendly media personalities are looking at this team and saying, we think the Michigan defense is going to take a step back a little bit. So from a personal standpoint, I'm curious, what is it that you've been working on to prepare yourself for this upcoming season? What are some of the specific things you're working to get better at?
Well, physically, I've been working, a lot about my size, trying to get more weight, add on, because that was my biggest setback last year. I had the strength, I had a lot of power, but the size didn't help me and my agility didn't help me. I didn't have a lot to build off that. So just trying to build off on those weaknesses and, mentally trying to be more of a leader. Like, we lost a lot of, like, Aiden, we lost a lot of leaders, Josh Ross on the defense. So everybody has to step up together, including me. So, people like me who didn't really talk and didn't really have much of a voice, it's time for us to step up. It's time for us to lead, do our job and do our job for each other. So that's the biggest thing.
How strong of a feeling is that? I mean, year 3, you're not a youngster anymore. You're starting to turn that veteran corner a little bit, even though you didn't play much as a freshman. Started to get a little dose of it last year, but as you come into year 3, like, how strong is that urge? Is that comfortable for you to be real, outspoken? Like, how do you find that?
It's a lot more comfortable this year now that I got a taste of it, that I can actually be like, okay, and help move the younger guys forward with us. But I think my biggest concern as far as me is I want to make sure I do things right before I help lead my teammates right. And that's the biggest thing my dad taught me. You can't be a leader unless you lead yourself properly. And that's been my biggest thing, gotta do that self-leadership before I can lead anybody else. So that's
Oh, Chris, your headphones, buddy. Veteran Chris with a rookie.
Veteran move.
Yeah. Veteran Chris.
You mentioned Chris, you mentioned your size, and Brandon and I were talking a little bit about that before the show. And Brandon, I don't know if this is a good time to bring it up, but he said he had to bulk up a little bit, and you are a bit undersized at that position. Is that something that you find to be a challenge? I mean, where do you see yourself fitting in best in this 2022 defense?
Well, right now, because I'm not gonna lie, I built about 15 pounds since last season. So right now I'm 285, so I feel a lot better.
Yeah.
We're still trying to get to like 290, 295, but I want to say right now it was comfortable, but it wasn't comfortable enough. My technique had to be perfect. I didn't have my weight to rely on. If I didn't play my technique right, I'm getting moved. I'm getting tossed 5 yards, and we don't want that. So the weight is definitely a huge part where even if I don't have my foot in the right placement, I can still recover faster. And
sure.
That's the biggest thing. So the heavier I get, the more comfortable I feel. And right now, I'm moving quicker too, which is a surprise to me, but I'm feeling a lot more comfortable now.
It sounds funny saying like 285, that's undersized. Like, you're a big dude. Like, that's a big guy. But I wonder, like, you're young though too. I was looking at, you're not even 21 yet, man. You're a young dude coming into year 3, right? So How hard or how easy is it to gain weight, to gain it the right way? I know Abigail O'Connor is extremely important for you big guys trying to put on the right kind of weight. What's that like, and what kind of how would you describe your metabolism, your body type to actually put on that weight? You said you're trying to get up another 10 or 15.
Yeah, so my metabolism for me it's been crazy. It's been my biggest enemy probably ever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hilarious because I'll be talking to people, they'll be jealous of me, the fact that I can't put on weight no matter what I eat, but I'm trying to gain weight.
Yeah.
Like,
Chris, if Coach Harbaugh needed me to be 300 pounds by next month, I could do it. I could be at 300 pounds by next month, no problem.
yeah, I wish I had that. Like, that's real. I can't just be like, you know what, let me eat whatever and then just be 300. I'll probably eat whatever, and then like next week I'll be maybe 287. Probably.
That's why I remember talking.
Well, the joys of being 20, man. I mean, come on now.
There you go. Yeah, and
Yeah.
we were talking about Mazi Smith, and he kind of mentioned the same thing where he had some issues with his diet, and Abigail helped him turn things around. And I am curious. Mazi has made some big strides since he's been at the University of Michigan. He's obviously a guy that you probably look to a lot for guidance in terms of, how much experience he has on the field. Can you just talk about the development you've seen in him from ever since you got on campus to moving into this year?
Well, when I first got on campus, not a lot of people saw Mazi as that guy. But what everybody knew is his work ethic was incredible. And you really saw that really progress him and take him to that next step. So when he hit the field last year, he was doing his thing, and everybody saw that, but we already knew that. And it was really cool because, as he was doing more, he got more of a voice too. So he was able to help, lead us, show us the things that helped him get to that point. And he's really become a huge part in our growth in the defensive line room. And we all respect and appreciate him. Like, he's mentored us so far. He's already helped my game get so much farther. I can't lie, than it already is. So he's been doing this thing.
I wanted to ask about that exact thing you just talked about. Use the word mentor, and I've covered Mazi since he was in 11th grade. Man, as a local Michigan kid, I knew him when he was at East Kentwood. I saw him come up, and then got to Michigan. And Chris and I were in Chicago a weekend or two ago for the mega camp. That there were 20-some players there, and Mazi was one of them. And I was blown away by how hands-on he was coaching the campers, but not only the campers, like he was talking to Braden McGregor. He was talking to other guys about what to do, hand play, just all these little detail types of things. And I didn't talk to Mazi like that back in the day when he was a high schooler, but I just wonder, you use the word mentor, like how noticeable is that from a guy like him, and how hands-on does he get when it's just you guys, not even when it's practice or when the coaches are around, but when it's you players kind of figuring stuff out?
Oh, it's very noticeable. Like the stuff you said he was doing at that players camp, like he'll do that every day with us at practice. If he sees something, he's gonna say something. So he's a really technical guy, and he'll really show it to us during practice. So if we mess up or I mess up my hand placements, he'll be like, come to the side real quick. Let's fix this real quick before you get back out. So he's looking for the little things, but it helps a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm curious on the defensive side of the ball. We ask pretty much every player that comes on. We know about some of the big names and the popular names that are out there, but you're in the locker room. You're working out with these guys all the time. Who are some of those guys on the defensive side of the ball? I mean, there were like 7 key contributors that you lost. Who are some of the guys that are stepping up going into this year? You're like, a lot of people aren't talking about this guy, but I think this guy's going to make a big impact this year.
Man, I mean, there's so many names I can name. I'm trying to name as much as possible, but
give me your top 3.
All right, top 3. Let's see. Mason Grant is coming off. He came off strong.
Hey.
Dude, as soon as he got in the building, his work ethic, his athleticism, he's straight up. He's been just taking strides, and it's scary because he's already so young. But he's just coming into his own so fast that we're all taken back. So he's definitely a guy there.
Big surprise, yeah.
Nakai Hill-Green too. Honestly, he's been working his butt off so far this year, and you could really tell. You could really tell his spring ball has been amazing, been awesome. He's in that weight room all the time with Blake. They're locker room warriors, so they'll be in there all the time. But and let me see the biggest one for safeties. Honestly, I want to stay between Makari and RJ because I don't feel like they're getting enough love, but they've been going after it. Like they're the type of guys where I'll come into the weight room and I'll see they're spending extra time before doing drills or after practice doing drills, and they're always just trying to perfect their craft. So I think they're gonna, show something a little special.
It's interesting. We got a good name. We got an interesting name out of that. One that I did not expect. That we're gonna have to do a little bit of digging there. Mason Grant.
Freshman, right? I mean, nobody's seen him do anything yet for as far as Michigan fans go. I don't expect you to know this, but just for people out there, he was listed at 6'3", 292 coming in as a true freshman. I would guess he's probably a little bigger than that now. He's been there a while, but that's interesting. Yeah, that's not a name I expected to hear. And also Makari Page. I was going to. Do you see what Chris Jenkins did right there too? He gave us one from each level. He's been doing this.
He knows what he's doing.
Linebacker, safety. He's hitting all three levels. But Makari's a kid another local kid. I saw him at West Bloomfield. We saw him on the field as a freshman, and then last year, not as much. So there's some playing time to be had back there. So I think that's an interesting name as well. So look at Chris Jenkins, man, bringing the scoop, man, bringing the gold to us, giving us two new names that we didn't expect to hear.
No, I got y'all.
I think we should. We haven't talked about the coaching yet, right? I know that's a topic that we want to tackle. You guys obviously you had a solid coaching staff last year. We know that there's a bit of turnover, but now this year you're working with Mike Elston, Jesse Minner. I'm curious. Give us your early impressions on working with those two guys.
Well, not gonna lie, when I saw Coach E come in when he first came in, I was I didn't know how to feel, a little intimidated, new guy, didn't really know much about him. But I love him now. Got to know him personally and working with him. He's a real technical guy. I've already learned so much from him, and I think the rest of the D-line could agree with me when saying he's definitely a great coach. Like, we love him on and off the field. And Coach Minner, same thing. He's kind of similar to Coach Mack. I'm not gonna lie. We feel like he acts dang near identical to Coach Mack. So it's kind of funny. But he's still a great guy. He's quiet, but when he gets on that field, he'll turn up. But
so it's interesting because last year you guys obviously had a successful season, and I think people looked at Mike McDonald and they were like, "Wow, that's what we've been looking for out of a defensive coordinator." I know it's early, and I know fall camp isn't there, but I mean, how do I want to ask this? Do you get a sense that this defense is going to look pretty similar to what it looked like last year? I know that you said Minter and McDonald are kind of cut from the same cloth. Are the defenses pretty similar too, or are there some noticeable differences?
Oh, it's kind of the same. It's kind of half and half. It's a little similar, but there are also little tweaks to it too. I mean, we're not trying to bring in a whole different dynamic and like switch everything up. But we're really playing off each other. We're really switching it to the new players, like get more team chemistry in there. So we're really evolving off each other, kind of evolving the defense off of us, which is really cool. We really like that.
You got it's new guys. I mean, like you said earlier, veteran Chris, 7 new bodies in there, probably making a lot of contributions, losing big time guys like David Ojabo and Aiden Hutchinson, Josh Ross. He mentioned, experienced act. I mean, you can go down the list. There's a lot of dudes that played a lot of football last year that are not going to be there this year. I wanted to ask a little bit about that because Chris and I realized as we were getting ready to get you on here, we had David Ojabo on the podcast last year before anybody knew what he was going to do, and we're wondering, Chris Jenkins, are you going to be this year's version of David Ojabo, where you come on our podcast as a guy that hasn't played a ton and takes this big, massive step? Now, I'm being a little silly, but how big of a leap do you feel like you can take from last year to?
I'm trying to take that hugely. I'm trying to take it all. I want to be the guy has his breakout season, just flies, just unleashes everything, and it's funny, like people be calling me, my nickname on the team is the Mutant, so I'm just looking forward to, just getting ready, making plays, and just hearing the Mutant call like everywhere on the TV, everywhere. So that's my biggest goal, along with helping out my team. I'm just hoping, everything falls together.
That's it. You hear like freak a lot. Mutant though.
The Mutant. I like it.
Who came up with it? Who said it first? Do you know?
Coach Herb. After I want to say after our sophomore, workout session, he was pulling the players aside. He was talking us up, and then he said, "Kris Jenkins is a mutant."
That is stuck.
I like that. All
right. We're going to go back to Ohio State because you brought it up. So I'm blaming you for it, but we got to go back to them. We got to talk about them a little bit. I'm not sure if you're aware, but just to kind of put it out there, Ohio State, the Buckeyes, have won 9 straight in Columbus dating back to the year 2000. And so you haven't even been alive since Michigan got their last win in Columbus. That would obviously be something that's pretty special for you guys to be a part of. You mentioned how last year that was a big focus for you guys, not just in the offseason, but all year. It was, it was up in the weight room. It was the question, what are you doing today to beat Ohio State? Now that you've done it and you're going into, you're trying to do it back to back, do you get the sense that there's still that same focus there this year that there was last year, particularly as it relates to Ohio State?
To be honest, to be completely honest with y'all, I feel like there's more focus this year than last year, because it's the fact that everybody's saying, they came here and we embarrassed them, and they want nothing more than to, come in when we come in there and punch us in the teeth, and we want nothing more than to go in there, trap takeover, take them over on their turf, on their fans, talking all that trash. So it's really been that extra incentive that we just want to go over there. We want to take everything. And we know they're going to give us everything they got, but we ain't going to let that happen straight up. So that's the biggest thing.
That is really, Chris, veteran Chris, I keep doing veteran Chris. As Michigan fans, we've come up a little bit older than Mr. Jenkins here, quite a bit older than Mr. Jenkins here. I don't even like saying that it hasn't happened since he's been alive. Like it almost pains me to say those words, man. It really is crazy. Obviously, the win last year was huge. I don't even know if you can let yourself get there yet, Chris. It's June. I mean, we're just now getting workouts going, but how often does that creep into your head? Like, we got a chance to beat them on their field this year.
I'm not gonna. It's probably, y'all probably gonna think it's crazy, but I think about it almost every day. Every day, I'm just thinking, I can't wait to go over to their field. Man, we just be talking about it. I can't wait. I already heard from all the older players what type of environment it is, how the fans be, how the players be. It's straight.
Oh, that's right.
I just realized that you haven't done it yet because there wasn't no 2020 game. That's right.
First trip.
Yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to it.
I bet.
Well, I want to switch gears a little bit, and we've got a couple more questions, and then we'll be able to get you out of here. But I want to switch gears to the social media side of things as a student athlete. And we've seen in the recruitment how social media can sometimes have an impact, or at least a perceived impact, on where student athletes decide they're going to go spend their collegiate years. But I'm curious, from a student athlete's perspective, how much of that has an impact? Like when you log on to social media and you see the way fan bases talk, or you see some of the reports that are out there, the 24-hour news cycle that happens on social media, do you as a student athlete, do you pay attention to that? And how much of an impact does that have on your recruitment?
Personally, I paid attention to it a little bit. When I was being recruited, I wouldn't say it had the biggest impact, because personally, I was looking for coaches, academics, really team, just those main three relationships. But absolutely, as a player, you really want to go to a school that, they want you, they accept you, they're going to love you. You want to go to a positive environment. So I feel like that still has a big impact. Depending on the player, might have a bigger impact, but that definitely plays a part.
And kind of how that interlinks with NIL stuff. And I know that world is relatively new for you guys, but I like to ask this question for all the guys that we have on. To date, so far, what in your experience has been the best part of NIL and maybe the worst part about NIL so far?
I think the best part has been being able to, set up stuff quick, to be able to, put yourself out there and actually make money for doing stuff that, in the past, a lot of players haven't been able to do, which is awesome. But I think there also comes that extra amount of stress, because a lot of players feel like are really stressed out to make a name for themselves or try and build that up quicker. Whereas some players may be a little more focused on NIL or on social media than they're supposed to. And that could lead to, a lot of stressing out, a lot of mental health issues, a lot of negative effects.
Do a lot of you guys, I'm guessing, are getting assistance? Like a lot of the players we talk to, like if there's an interview request or something like that, they typically try to have somebody that handles that for them. But for the most part, I'm guessing, are most of you guys handling your own NIL opportunities? Is that how it works?
Yeah, most of us just doing it by ourselves, for real. That's pretty much it.
It's interesting. I'm really curious what, because you see all of these crazy reports, across the country of things happening all over the place. And I'm really curious, what's it like just in the real world for a student athlete who's trying to navigate all of that, from interview requests to, sponsorship requests, whatever's coming out there. I can see that, it would obviously have an impact on your focus. And I'm wondering if you could see that. And it sounds like there's, a little bit of that going on. Brandon, I don't know if you have any more questions for Chris before we move into teammate confessional.
I have one more thing, and it's kind of
Before it
interesting.
gets real.
You talked about the Ohio State stuff, and
Mm.
Chris, I know you personally from Maryland. You played down in the DMV area, but Pops and Uncle, right? Michigan dudes born in this area, southeastern Michigan. Your dad went to Maryland. That's how the family ended up there, right? But your uncle Cullen Jenkins played at Central Michigan, and you've got. So how much was the Michigan stuff like in your mind? Even as a look, I mean, obviously, once you start getting recruited, you kind of look at everybody a little differently. But as a little kid, was there some maize and blue like in the back of your head floating around a little bit because of the family roots, or how'd that go about?
I'm not gonna lie, there wasn't when I was younger. There wasn't a lot of maize and blue influence, but as I got older and starting to get more college looks, it really became that part because I really wanted to play somewhere that was close to my family.
Okay.
At the end of the day, and Michigan fit that perfectly. I mean, academics. Athletics, number one at everything. So, that just fit perfectly for me.
And I saw Pops is 6'5", 360 is his listed length.
Yeah.
So do you talk to Pops about like that? I'm trying to get to 290, bro. Like what can I do? What can I do to get up on your level?
I haven't talked to him too much about that because I mean his biggest thing, the rest of my family's been telling me is, enjoy being skinny while you have it.
That's right. That is great advice. Enjoy it.
Enjoy it. Yeah.
That is a big dude, man. That's a big fella right there. And that's why he played 10 years in the NFL right there.
Yeah. Because he used to be my size, so.
Man. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, enjoy the skinniness, I guess. Take the family's advice. Enjoy that while you can. Yeah, because those late 20s and 30s keep up on you, and then you don't have control over it anymore. Take our word for it. Chris,
all right, it's the time. It's the time.
Good.
All right, lower the lights. Lower the lights.
Yeah, I can't lower the lights. Dude.
Oh, wait, we have no control over his lights. Chris, turn the lights off in your apartment.
I got a lamp. I got one lamp.
Oh, there we go. I love it. Perfect. We got the music.
All right, here we go.
This is our first. There we go.
Confessionals.
This is our first teammate confessional. Chris, I hate to do this to you, but we need to get some answers. It's hard for us out here in the media to get answers from you guys, but at this point, we have no choice. We had to put you in the teammate confessional. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and you cannot lie. Honest answers only. First question.
All right.
Only teammates apply. You cannot name yourself. Who is the best?
But coaches are also on the table.
Coaches, yes. If you want to add in coaches are on the table.
All right, bet. Let's go.
Who is the best dressed Wolverine on the roster?
The best dress. Yeah, that's ooh.
The swaggiest, the drippiest. Who's got it?
Between RJ Moten.
Okay.
And between RJ and might have to give it between RJ and AJ. Or RJ, AJ, and Blake. That's my top three.
Okay. RJ, AJ. That's not a bad. I follow them on Instagram. I see the photos they're posting up. They've always got some drip going on. So yeah. I can't hate that selection. But now here's where it gets a little bit tight, Chris.
Right.
I got to ask you. Maybe it's an effort thing. Maybe I don't know what's going on with them. But who's the worst dressed? Who's the worst dressed on the team?
Put myself out.
You're not on it.
You're off the table.
Because I definitely
who's a guy that just you see him walk in the locker room, you're like, that guy needs a little help.
It's got to be an offensive lineman, right? Got to be.
Hey, I don't mean to put you on blast, Brody, but it's got to be my man, Icadelic, Big Ike. Big Ike.
What is it? What is it? Is it a denim vest? What is it? What's the faux pas? What's the issue?
Is it
the Crocs?
Nothing personal to my boy at all. All love for the man, but
it's all love, yeah.
Sometimes he'll wear fits that it just don't work with him. I know it's a lot coming from me because I only wear Michigan stuff all the time, so I don't got a diverse.
Hey, there ain't nothing wrong with that. All right, we're moving on. Who is the teammate with the best sense of humor? Teammate with the best sense of humor.
And we're still putting me out.
You're out.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah. Best sense of humor. Honestly, between JJ and Dono.
Interesting. Okay, I wouldn't have seen that. JJ with the sense of humor.
Yeah.
All right, man. Now it's about to get real.
Right.
Do you have any sibling? Wait.
We have a question from the wife of veteran Chris, and I think it needs to be addressed.
Ooh.
Kris Jenkins, how many Michigan players have an eyebrow with the shaved notches in it like old Chris.
Are they still doing that?
Trying to take it back?
Not as much, but I've seen it around. I don't know if anybody's still rocking it.
It came. Listen, it came back like corduroys. It came back. I
brought it. I had to throw the wife question in there, man.
All right, here. Listen, now wait. Do you have any siblings? Do you have a sister?
I got all 3 younger brothers.
Okay, 3. So for these purposes, we're gonna have to pretend, Chris, that you have a sister.
I know what it's going.
I'm curious, Chris. Which teammate would you trust most to take your fictional sister out on a date?
Yeesh. Trust most.
You look at that guy in the locker room, you say, I trust that guy with my sister.
That guy could be my brother-in-law. He is part of the family.
Trust most? JJ.
There you go. Well, yeah, that's kind of hard to argue with.
See, we talked about this last time when we were in Chicago for that camp, and we got to pal around with JJ a little bit and his parents. JJ comes off as like the nicest dude in the world, where you're like, that can't even be real. Like, dude, like people just aren't that nice.
Literally, when I first met, I didn't expect that, but he's like has a heart of gold. Like you're never, especially someone like him. I definitely.
Well, veteran Chris, ask the.
Okay, you know where this is going. You know where this is going, Chris. I gotta know. You walk in the locker room, you see that teammate, and you're like, I don't want that guy anywhere near my fictional sister. Who is it?
Oof.
just a dog.
You're just looking at him. You're like, just stay away.
All right. I know, and I already know he's watching right now. You're watching right now, and I know I'm thinking of you, Taylor. Taylor
Upshaw.
I'm sorry, bro.
Wow.
And Taylor, he's my boy. But no.
Wow, Taylor Upshaw. I didn't see. Okay, so Taylor's a player. I did not know that, but he's been outed.
That was a mistake, Button. I apologize. This has nothing to do with Taylor Upshaw.
All love,
all the time. All right, we're gonna move on. We got a couple more of these questions.
That's
Chris. It's the zombie apocalypse. I hate to break it to you, and you can only take one of your teammates with you to try to survive. Who's the guy you're grabbing to go fight zombies in the apocalypse?
Zach.
Zach Zinner?
I told you Zinner.
And Mazi Smith.
Okay.
Okay, it's hard to go wrong with those two guys. I can't hate on that answer. Final question on teammate confessional here, Chris. You've got 24 hours in Las Vegas, and you've got an unlimited budget, but you can only take 3 of your teammates with you. You're trying to have a good time. You got 24 hours. Who you taking with you to Vegas?
Oh, snap. All right. Taylor Upshaw for sure.
Okay. The player, of course.
Shoot. Man. Taylor Upshaw.
Now, see, you're not taking JJ to Vegas with you. He's with your sister. He's not going to Vegas.
They chilling. They having a fun time. We want him to come to Vegas. Absolutely not.
JJ's like, guys, it's time to go home and go to bed.
Nah. It's gonna be me, Taylor. Dang. Rod Moore.
Okay.
Rod Moore. All right, little safety coming out for some fun.
Leon Franklin. Bam.
There you go. Leon Franklin in Vegas. I love it. Leon, Rod, Chris. That's a solid crew. Wait, who did you name first?
Taylor.
Taylor Upshaw. Right, the player. Yeah, the guy that you wouldn't want with your sister. You're taking him to Vegas to make sure he's nowhere near your sister.
That is player confessional.
Teammate confessional.
Teammate confessional.
I'm going to get some weed for this.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. That was awesome, man. That was
for the first time ever doing that. That was pretty solid, man.
Hilarious.
I like that stuff. Yeah, anything else before we let Mr. Chris Jenkins get on out of here? He's giving us 30 minutes of his time.
Well, we got to stop by. Look, Seth Sugar is pissed off, Chris Jenkins, that you did not list him as going on your trip to Vegas. And so you're going to have to settle that up with him. Settle that up. That's right. Listen.
But he ain't my teammate, though.
What
am I supposed to do?
Come on, Seth. You got to play by the rules here. I'll let you settle that up with Seth after the show. That's all I got, though. I think that was one hell of a
good,
show,
man. That was such good stuff. Chris, thank you so much for stopping by and talking with us, man.
Absolutely.
Tons of success, tons of health, tons of happiness and fun for you, my brother. And we will talk to you again soon.
Sounds great. Appreciate
you. Take care.
All right, take care, man.
All right, man.
Oh man, that's good
That was
stuff.
fun.
I love the fun ones, dude. I love the fun ones.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I know the fans, they want to hear about Minter. They want to hear about Elston. They want to hear about the players standing out. Every time we get to one of those fun topics, man, that's where we really crack up and have a lot of fun with those
Love
guys.
it, man. I love it. You got it. Hey, hide your wife, and more importantly, hide your sisters from Taylor Upshaw, because, all points bulletin out on Taylor Upshaw.
Taylor Up, what's he doing out there, man?
I don't know. We got to get to.
I want to know. We need to. We'll dig a little deeper off the air.
We got to do a little bit of investigative.
We'll dig a little deeper off the air, but that is an interesting answer, dude. I'm going to be honest. Kris Jenkins came with a lot of stuff that I did not expect, and that's awesome. That gives us a lot to talk about. We talked about 3 names. He gave us 3 or 4 names of guys who are really standing out, and I would have said like 2 or 3 of them. I would have never imagined. That's not a knock on those guys, but you don't expect to hear about a true freshman D tackle in Mason Graham.
Yeah,
Makari Page. I mean, look, he played a lot as a freshman. I covered him in high school, thought he had a lot of potential, but last year, he took a back seat to some other guys. So to hear that he is stepping up because there are snaps to be had out there, I think that's encouraging. Just good stuff, dude. That was really good stuff from Kris Jenkins, man. What a fun time to talk with him for 30 minutes. So
yeah, and you know what? Again, just another benefit to the whole NIL process. And I think it's one of, there's a lot of stuff out there that gets talked about NIL and the negative side of it and the downside of it. But I think, I don't want to pat ourselves on the back, but I think the way that we're using it and what we're trying to do, I think it's a good opportunity for these players to come on and sort of get people, the opportunity to get to know them and do it right from the comfort of home. And so I think this is it's a really awesome thing that we're able to do.
Look, I've been on the beat this will be my 9th season, I think, this year. Is that right? So 1 of Hoke's, all of Harbaugh's, and then this one coming up. So yeah, that's 9. Yeah, 9 years. And look, man, the media scrums and getting the availability after practice, that's great. It's kind of necessary. You have to do it. We go to them, we cover them. There's nothing like this, dude, where it's just me and you and them, and you got 30 minutes and you can ask them whatever, and you don't have to battle to get back in. Get your questions out there. And they don't even say that much at those things because it's weird for them. They're standing up there like they're, behind the glass or something, like some, museum item or something. And all these questions are being thrown at them. I love it, dude. I love doing these things. And Kris was, dude, he was as good of a guest as we've had. I'll say
one of the best guests we've had for sure.
I will say that on record that was one of the best guests that we have had. And props to Kris Jenkins, and hope he can take that big leap that we talked about, like we saw with Ojabo last year. It's crazy to think about. We had Ojabo on, and like this, he was, he hadn't played a lot. He's given himself. He's like, remember, I was an F- when I got to Michigan. Then 12 sacks later, he's a first-round pick. Had it not been for the unfortunate injury, but still goes in the 2nd round, and just really cool, man. Hopefully, we can see something similar with young Mr. Jenkins. So there we go. Put a bow on that, and Kris, we're stepping into a fan favorite. Here we go.
This fucking guy.
Oh my God! It's been so long. It's been so long.
It's been gone for a while.
This fucking guy.
But we're back. My TFG. A lot of Michigan fans are going to jump right on this bandwagon with me. I don't know his name. I was trying to find it, but I don't really care. That slapdick umpire that screwed Michigan out of an out in the regional against Louisville. TFG.
This fucking guy.
Permanent. And, oh, by the way, I haven't seen this completely confirmed somewhere, but my former colleague at the radio show, Zach Shaw, who's really good at his job, put out there that dude was like a Louisville grad and has ties to Louisville, and somehow is umping that game and calls the Michigan guy out, and then Louisville hits a home run to take the lead, and it was at the bottom of the 8th. Like, dude, it was one of the worst calls I've ever seen. And they went back and reviewed it, and they still got it wrong. I don't understand how something like that can happen in that moment where Michigan has a chance to potentially advance, and instead their season's over. That's just a shame.
This fucking guy.
All day, that umpire in that Louisville-Michigan baseball game. If you didn't see it, basically, bottom of the 8th, Michigan was up 11-9. Is that right? No, that's the final score. Michigan was up 9-7. The inning should have been over. It wasn't. All because that umpire made the wrong call and then made it again after reviewing it. Just
this fucking guy.
Unforgivable.
You know who my TFG is, Brandon? Want to know what
guy.
it is?
Who?
It's me. It's me.
I love
This
it.
fucking guy.
I love when we pick ourselves.
Because listen.
Is it for the eyebrow?
No, it's not for the eyebrow. It's
This
for
fucking guy.
no. It's for the breach of the diet. I really feel bad for it. I know that you and I, we had made this pact and we were trying to stick to it, and I felt like it did. But dude,
It's a pretty one-sided fact.
sometimes the golden arches, I don't know if it's something in the light, if it's the tone of the yellow. I don't know what it is, but sometimes the golden arches come calling, and so for that reason, I am my own TFG for this.
Yeah, I didn't have any fast food today. I feel pretty good about that, but I've had a lot of diesel. Lots of diesel. Speaking of the drink, I'm going to open one up now. Now that our 20-year-old guest is off the screen, I feel like I can get into some booze a little bit.
I'm already half in the bag.
He's half in the bag, folks. You heard it here first.
That's right.
This fucking guy.
Eyebrows and fast food. That's what we do around here. Chantel liked it. She liked that. Is Chantel not a fan of the eyebrow?
I don't think she was at first, but then my son told me I looked like Aquaman, and I think it started to grow on her now. She's like,
what's that guy's name?
My very own Aquaman.
Momoa? What's his name? The big old rip dude?
Oh, yeah, something like that. Jason.
Now she's thinking
like
about someone else, dude, when you guys are tucking in at night.
That's fine. As
Fine
long
with
as
that? All right.
okay. Couldn't care less.
Well, from that to this, I guess we'll get into we had some fan questions last week. If you guys remember, we did a fan-led show with questions, and we just kind of went through them and talked about them. And we went like over an hour and still did not have enough time to get all the questions done. So I grabbed them. There were about seven or eight pretty solid, not repeated questions. And I grabbed them, and I'm going to throw them up now. So if those people are still in here, cool. If not, that's fine. It'll give us something to talk about to fill up these last 20 minutes. And we do have a couple other things on the list as well. So first things first, Chris, if you remember back, we talked about this a little bit. We just asked Chris Jenkins about younger players that might step up. Of course, he focused on the defense. And actually, we might have asked him specifically about the defense. I'm not sure. But do you see an underclassman wide receiver moving way up the depth chart over an upperclassman? I think that part of the question is kind of important. And who might that be? I think there's only one answer here, right? But it's about that. It's about that second part of the question. Over an upperclassman.
I feel like I could answer it pretty easily, to be honest.
Okay, what do you got?
It's nothing against the guy, but I feel like I don't know what Cornelius Johnson is at this point. I don't know if he's a number one receiver. I don't know if he's like the go-to guy. I don't know if he's like, a cog in just, a lot of good weapons that are out there. I'm not sure what his role is. I could see Darius Clemens taking over that role for Cornelius Johnson and actually taking most of those reps. I feel like Cornelius has been around for a while, and I haven't seen a lot of, but here's the thing. Can any receiver make big plays in an offense that runs the ball 45 times a game? I don't know, 50 times a game. I'm not sure. But if I were to place my bets, I would put it on Darius Clemens passing up Cornelius Johnson.
I mean, I think he's the only one you could even say that about. Clemens. I mean, you saw what he looked like in the spring game. The dude's 6'3", 220s, chiseled out of granite. I mean, dude, he posted a couple things on his social media where he was, I think, back home working out, and it's unbelievable that he was supposed to be in high school still. Like, unbelievable. Yeah. Wide receivers do not look like that, and he's ready for the next level. There's no doubt. And, yeah, I think the second part of that question is what makes it interesting, because it's not going to be a surprise if he is the one young receiver who can step up and make some plays, but is it going to come at the expense of a veteran who then kind of gets pushed aside? I like Cornelius Johnson quite a bit. I think it's the case with all these receivers in this offense. They could and should look better. They just don't get that many opportunities. I mean, when you think back to what Cornelius Johnson's been able to do, he hit 23 miles an hour on his 87-yard. That's elite speed. That's like 10 or less dudes in the NFL did that last year. Like, that's Tyreek Hill is in like the 23.5 mile an hour range.
Let me add.
He's got a lot to show, but just a limited chance to do so.
I was going to say, you can use Donovan Peoples-Jones as a perfect example. Like,
Right.
DPJ during his time at Michigan, not very impressive. Clearly at the next level, though, the guy is an elite talent. And if used the right way, you can get a lot out of him. So again, I don't know if that's a matter of it just being a Cornelius thing or a matter of the Michigan offense. But as the question was posed, that's the switch that I could see.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I mean, I think when you look at all of Michigan's receivers, to me, there's a little bit of that because none of them, it's not like any of them have had like, your 60 catch year, your double digit touchdowns, you're nearing 1,000. I mean, none of them have come anywhere close to those numbers because of the system. So if Darius Clemens all of a sudden is making some plays and he's got that big body and he brings something that one of the other guys doesn't, it's not that hard to imagine him replacing somebody because they're not, again, and I don't think it's their fault, but it's not like you're going to be taking a ton of production off the table and trying to get it from somebody else. It's kind of plug and play. You find a new cog, you find somebody who can do something, and you see if he can do it. And I think Clemens is the easy answer. Probably the answer for this question as well, other than Will Johnson, which I don't even know if that's a guarantee. I mean, I think a lot of people are obviously really high on him for obvious reasons, but which other freshman could see significant playing time? Well, we just heard Mason Graham.
Yeah,
is he going to be on the field? I don't know if that's what Kris Jenkins was suggesting, but there's going to be some freshmen who step up and play because last year nobody was guessing Rod Moore would be on the field as much as he was, and he played a ton and down the stretch and in big moments. So yeah, I'm interested to see if you've got any names to throw out while I grab a napkin and clean up this booze that I spilled while I just opened it here.
Wait, what was the question?
Other freshmen who could potentially step up, either side of the ball, any guys. I mean, who are you thinking? Is there anybody that immediately comes to mind?
Yeah, I mean, no, not outside of Darius Clemens. I mean, that's the guy. It's kind of it goes hand in hand with the last question. He's the guy after the spring game. I saw that performance and I was like, for sure, he's going to make an impact year one.
Yeah, I mean, he is the obvious answer. I mean, there's no doubt about it. That's why, I mean, I think you could ask a lot of casual Michigan fans and he'd be the one. So I am intrigued by the safety group. Keon Sabb, even Cody Jones a little bit because they're going to have to replace what Dax Hill did as that nickel corner. So Keon Sabb, Cody Jones, what's the other? I'm drawing a blank on the other. Zeke Berry, and then even Damani Dent. Like, all these guys, man, all these guys have so much talent back there, and Michigan really brought in an elite defensive back group. And there's some snaps to be had back there after you lose a guy like Brad Hawkins, you lose Daxton Hill. And you're wondering, how healthy is Rod Moore to start the season? We've heard a little bit about him coming through something. And so there's going to be an opportunity for a young guy to play back there. So I'm interested to see what that looks like. But yeah, I mean, when you go down the list, I was trying to pull the list up and it only had the early enrollees. So it kind of cut my argument in half for a second. But Miles Pollard, Mason Graham, Connor Jones. Yeah, I mean, you don't expect offensive linemen to contribute a lot as a freshman. Clemens and Will Johnson sit at the top of that list for most people.
Easily.
It's kind of hard to come off of those two names. But we can look at that as the fall comes around. We'll start to hear some buzz about some of the and half the class just got on campus like within the last week. The early enrollees have been there since January, but a whole bunch of dudes just showed up at Michigan over the past week and are now going through workouts. So there's a whole new crop of guys to potentially step up and start to shine as fall camp gets a little bit closer. All right, third question that was posed to. I just talked about this. So if Rod Moore can't go, who's the next man up? And we heard Kris Jenkins mention Makari Page. That's a third-year guy. He's played a little bit. He's got great length. He's got good speed. He's got good range. For whatever reason, he was overtaken last year by some younger guys. But if Rod Moore can't play, maybe one of those speedy freshmen I talked about, Keon Sabb, Cody Jones, Damani Dent, I think is not quite ready yet, but he's super athletic and raw. And then, I think Makari Page probably makes the most sense. I don't know. Do you have any other names to throw out there? I'm trying to really not be distracted by this puddle that's forming on my table. Right here.
Well, I'm trying not to. Do you want to move on? So, I think Makari Page is probably a solid bet. I know that Kris Jenkins mentioned him. Got a lot of people asking about the recruiting class and CJ Carr, and I know that you wanted to sort of dive into that a little bit. What's going on with the 23 recruiting class? Do you want to tackle that? We got about 10 more minutes.
We can do that. We had a few more questions on here. I wish I could. I can't see what they are. They're too small. Well, I see that Jesse Minter is mentioned here. Is that a huge downgrade for McDonald? It doesn't sound like it. I mean, Kris Jenkins isn't, he's not ever knowledgeable, but he's talking about what Jesse Minter looks like and how he's doing his own thing. But it doesn't sound like I feel like he would be able to tell if it was lip service. It didn't feel like lip service.
Yeah, I didn't get the impression, and it sounds like he said, they're almost kind of like the same person, some slight variations, but I think a lot of people are going to be happy with the fact that it doesn't sound like they're going to be trying to do too much differently from what they did last year, and it looks like it was pretty successful. So yeah, if Minter can be anywhere near the vicinity of what McDonald was for this team in 2021, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah. So with the recruiting stuff, and I see it's pretty much the quarterback discussion right now. I mean, yeah, there's guys coming in for official visits on the weekends. Michigan is in full swing with that. They hosted 2 last weekend, 2 DBs. They've got, I think maybe 8 or 10 official visitors coming in this weekend. I actually plan on putting a list out about that tomorrow and kind of touching on some of those dudes. But the quarterback stuff right now is hot because CJ Carr, the grandson of Lloyd Carr, the Saline High School product that's 10 miles away from the big house, is committing tomorrow, and he's probably picking Notre Dame. Now, if there ever was a kid who could have a last-minute change of heart and just feel like I can't go anywhere other than Michigan, it would be CJ Carr. But it sounds like he's going to pick Notre Dame, and if that happens, it sounds like Notre Dame is then going to cool on Dante Moore. And, oh, by the way, Jaden Davis, who's rated ahead of CJ Carr, just unofficially visited Michigan over the weekend and is now believed to be a Michigan lean, per Adam Friedman, who I trust, worked with him for 6 years at Rivals, knows his stuff in the Mid-Atlantic region. He put a prediction in for Jaden Davis to go to Michigan. So there's a lot of stuff kind of swirling around right now. The first domino is going to fall tomorrow, even though CJ Carr is a 2024 prospect. What he does, if it's to commit to Notre Dame, could and should affect what Dante Moore does, because he was also considering Notre Dame as a 2023 prospect. So to wrap it all, and I put a story out about this a little bit earlier today. So if you go to WolverineDigest.com, it's all broken down. It's got all 3 of those guys listed there and a little bit of backstory about each of their recruitment, some of the same stuff I'm saying right now. If Michigan was able to land Dante Moore and Jaden Davis, you're good. Like, nobody's going to care that CJ Carr picked Notre Dame at that point. And that I'm not trying to disparage CJ Carr or get into that whole discussion and say like, good riddance, go to Notre Dame then. Enjoy South Bend, which South Bend does blow, but that's another Michigan's going to have 10 stars worth of quarterbacks if they commit. Dante Moore is a 5-star kid in 2023. Jaden Davis is a 5-star kid in 2024. CJ Carr also is a 5-star kid per 24/7 Sports. But my point is, even though CJ Carr looks like a layup, you'll be fine with not getting him if you can grab. Honestly, if you can grab either one of the other 2 guys, in my opinion, if you can get them both, Dante Moore and Jaden Davis, like that's almost as good as it gets.
But yeah, doesn't that go back to what we talked about last week, though, is do you think Michigan's style of play is going to become an issue for landing guys like a Dante Moore? I mean, is that what you're seeing here? And I know that whole social media drama thing, sort of played out with CJ Carr, and I don't want to dive too far into it, but that was part of the reason why I asked Chris that question, is because these things happen. And I'm just curious, how much does it play a role in the decisions that are made? But I do wonder, is Michigan's offense, is that going to play a big factor here in where these guys decide to go? And is that why quarterback recruiting looks the way it does currently?
You cannot ignore this point that Malachi threw out here. Michigan has been on CJ Carr and Dante Moore since they were in middle school. They just offered Jaden Davis last month, or in April. So, I mean, like a month and a half ago. So that it's not ideal. I mean, like you said, you brought up the Twitter stuff that was going on with Tammy Carr, that's CJ's mom. And I don't even want to say the jabroni's name who was going back and forth and who called attention to it. Everybody knows who that dickbag is, but whatever. It's true. It's like 5-star quarterbacks with big arms and lots of talent and who want to play in the NFL don't want to go to a place where they hand the ball off 50 times a game. They want to throw it around the yard. They want to find weapons. They want to put their talents on display. And you could make a pretty strong argument that doesn't happen at Michigan. That's not being a hater. That's not, discrediting what kind of season they had last year. The all-time touchdown record for touchdown passes in a season at Michigan is 25. And that's stood since, what is it, like 2004 or something.
I mean,
long time ago.
Shea Patterson damn near hit it in 2 seasons, right?
So it's the truth. And for those of you who didn't see it, Tammy Carr reportedly liked the
Listen,
tweet
can I just say, as somebody who has been recently hacked, I take hacking accusations very seriously. And if you're going to claim that you were hacked, like, you can't just be willy-nilly claiming you were hacked.
So if you believe her, somebody hacked Tammy Carr's account to like one tweet that was very appropriate to what's happening right now in the world of her 5-star quarterback son. That's all I'm going to say. I don't really buy that, but honestly, I don't really care because it's true. That's like, it'd be one thing if she was out there liking some tweet that was like, way off the base or something and just looked like, someone being a hater. Dude, 5-star quarterbacks don't want to go to offenses that don't throw the ball. Like, there's nothing wrong with admitting that. And that's what we've talked about.
It's not a crazy concept. Like, I don't even understand how that's controversial.
It's really not. So Malachi is asking what the tweet said. I can't remember who tweeted it, but it said it was in reference to quarterback recruiting at Michigan. 5-star quarterbacks don't want to go where nobody throws the ball. That's not word for word, but it was something like that. And Tammy Carr reportedly liked that tweet.
Well, not reportedly, right? Well, I mean,
her account liked the tweet. She said she woke up the next day. My Twitter's been hacked. Well, I don't care. I really don't care. Tammy Carr, from all accounts, great lady. Her son's an amazing player and a nice young man. But dude, like, you can say those things. There's nothing wrong with saying that because that's pretty much exactly what's happening. Michigan has an offense that's not exactly quarterback friendly. You're not going to put up big yards. You're not going to throw a lot of touchdowns. You might win a bunch of games. We saw that last year. But in terms of getting yourself ready for the next level and showcasing your skills at the highest level, it's not it. It's not it. And it's the discussion we've had a bunch with Cade and JJ as well. You've got a guy in JJ McCarthy who's got this incredible toolbox, and we're not sure if he's ever going to get to use it. And yeah, it's all the truth. I don't know why people are so bent over it. I mean, she should like that. Oh, yeah, you really want my son to come there? Well, then maybe let him throw the ball. How about that? I don't know. I didn't really think it was that big of a deal, but it was all over the place for most of the day yesterday.
Quite some time. Yeah, I just, I get that everybody's upset because he's got the Carr name and he's a kid that's supposed to go to Michigan, but I just don't get too caught up in it, primarily because he's class of 2024. I've followed recruiting enough, not as much as people who have been doing it for years or who make a living off of it, but I follow it closely enough to know I don't give a shit what some kid in the 2024 class decision he made. It doesn't matter to me at this point. As it gets closer and things start to make a little more sense, then I'll pay a little more attention to that. But as of now, like, I didn't get the whole freak out session on social media about where CJ Carr. I'm more worried about getting JJ McCarthy in the game. I'm more worried about what are we going to do with guys like Alex Orji and guys that are already here in Ann Arbor. I think there's a lot of talent here. It doesn't matter if we get CJ Carr. It doesn't matter if we get Dante Moore. It doesn't matter if we get whoever else might come out there. If they're not slinging the ball, if the offense is what it is, to me, it's kind of a plug and play. It could be Cade. It could be JJ. Doesn't matter who's back there.
To your point, if Marcus Freeman comes out and goes 4-8 this year, it's going to be pretty hard to hang on to a quarterback like CJ Carr. To your point about he's got 2 full years of high school left. He's getting ready to start his junior season. So,
and Michigan is expected to be competing for another Big Ten championship.
Tons of time to figure it out. But yeah, optically,
it's not good.
It's not going to look great when he picks Notre Dame tomorrow. And Notre Dame is going to run with that story, and the Notre Dame beat is going to run with that story. And I'm not going to hide from it. I mean, I'm not going to push the narrative that Michigan missed out on Lloyd Carr's grandson, but that's the fact of the matter. Like, that kid's been in maize and blue every day of his life since he was born. And now that he's a big time quarterback recruit, he's going to go somewhere else. Like, yeah, the optics of that aren't that great. I mean, but it is what it is. If they land Dante Moore and they land Jaden Davis or even one of those two guys, all good. And yeah, by the way, you still got JJ McCarthy sitting there who hasn't started a game yet either. So
there you go.
let's figure that out.
A lot of time left. And again, yes, there's nothing wrong with bully ball. And I don't want to get too far down this, but that works a lot in the first part of the season. Guys like us, we didn't think it was going to work in the latter part of the season. And it turned out it did work out well for the Michigan Wolverines last year. But they also had Asana Haskins. They had a really good offensive line. They're going to have another good offensive line this year. Why is your forehead so close to the screen? What the hell is going on here?
I'm trying to read the teeny tiny thumbnails of the fan questions that I have uploaded.
All I can see is forehead. That's all I can see.
Let me get right up in here.
Now I don't even know where I'm at. All I have is jeez, look at that forehead.
What do you think of that, dude?
That was a lot of forehead.
Got a 5 head going on.
You'll be all right.
Well, the reason why I was looking that hard was because I knew there was a question about this from the fans. I couldn't remember exactly how it was worded, but do you think quarterback recruits see what's happening with JJ and it hurts the recruiting efforts, or is it because of the bad NIL efforts, or both? It's all of it. It's kind of all that and I don't think the NIL efforts are as bad as, I don't know if I'd call them weak ass. They're certainly not as good as some of the other ones out there. Some of the guys are doing just fine. No, there's not like a slush fund where every player that comes to Michigan gets X amount like you're seeing at some other schools, but it's all, I think you could throw Jim Harbaugh's flirtation with the NFL right into the mix, as well as why recruiting efforts haven't been quite as high given what happened on the field last year. Like, Michigan played in the playoff, and their 2023 class right now is pedestrian at best. It could get better in a hurry, but it's not good right now.
You could go back and you could watch the shows that we did right after, while all this was going on, the season had finished and Jim Harbaugh was, the NFL rumors were out there. And I think that was, for a lot of fans, that was a really big source of frustration, is that after all of this time, after 7 years, you finally get to where you wanted to go. And instead of using that momentum to hit like the ground running on the recruiting trail, a couple months there were wasted. At least that's how it looks from the outside looking in. And maybe that has had an impact on the 23 class. I don't know what it is, but at the end of the day, it goes back to that tweet and the whole Tammy Carr thing and whatever. Look, I don't know if she liked it, whether she didn't, but the substance of the tweet, I think, is true. In that if you are not going to let a big time quarterback go out and perform the way these guys want to play these days, you're just not going to be able to recruit those kids to your program. And I don't think it's a huge deal yet with JJ. He was only a freshman last year. He got in some spots. They used him in kind of a weird way. But if he's the guy this year, I don't see it being an issue. I just don't see how you can make it. I don't see how you can stretch that out 2 years. To me, if JJ McCarthy is not ready this fall, that speaks more to the coaching staff's just lack of an ability to get a kid like that ready to go. That kid should be ready this fall. It should be his job.
You know what's funny about this quarterback thing, and guys want to throw the ball and this, that, the other. So these quarterbacks nowadays, especially, I mean, pretty much every kid that's of the recruit that's old enough to be a recruit now at this point has spent countless hours and days and weeks in quarterback camps and 7-on-7 tournaments and throwing the ball. You know what doesn't even exist in 7-on-7 tournaments? A running game. So many of these quarterbacks don't even know what it means to get under center and turn around and hand the ball off. And I know Michigan's not really under center anymore either. They're doing shotgun stuff pretty much all the time now. But my point is that these quarterbacks don't even, they can't even comprehend an offense where all they do is turn around and hand the ball off. Because in high school, if you've got a quarterback that's as talented as those guys, you're putting the ball in their hands on every play. And you're letting them make plays down the field, and you're letting them beat the other team because they're just better than everybody else. And then all of a sudden you get recruited by a school like Michigan, and you look at the stats last year. Yeah, they won 12 games. They went to the playoff. They beat Ohio State. Cade McNamara threw 15 touchdown passes, man. That's it. 15. He played 14 games and threw 15 touchdown passes. That's not even a knock on Cade. I mean, it's not like he had an opportunity to throw 20 more. He didn't. He's just doing what's been asked of him. And so this is one of the hottest topics out there right now because of how Michigan's recruiting, because of CJ Carr, because of Dante Mora, Detroit kid right in your backyard. And then now Jaden Davis is also in the mix, another 5-star kid who was just on campus. So this is something that's not going away. Michigan is getting ready to embark on an official visit season. I expect some commitments to come out of that over the next month and a half. And then the team really hunkers down and gets ready for fall camp. But there's some concerns. I mean, it kind of goes this way every year, though. People are like, where's all the commitments? And then Michigan ends up with like a top 10 class. I mean, it does go that way kind of a lot, but it's never gone this way after a season like Michigan just had before, because they haven't had a season like that before. And they just really don't seem to be capitalizing on that momentum where they should be. And I think that's a legitimate concern.
Yeah, I agree. I think recruiting has never been an issue at the University of Michigan. I just think we are going to talk about this so many times leading up to the season. There are weapons all over this offense. And if you listen to what Cade McNamara said recently on that in the trenches podcast with John Jansen, he said one of his focuses this offseason was to be more of an offensive force, was to be more of a force offensively. And so I don't know if that speaks to what Michigan's going to be looking to do offensively now that, they're going to have to retool on the defensive side of the ball. I think you and I are of the mindset that they're going to have to score more points in 2022 to hope to defend or go back-to-back as Big Ten champions. And I just don't know that they can score as much as they need to with McNamara behind center. And that's really what it comes down to. And it's not, again, I go back to love everything he did in 2021. I think he did exactly what he was supposed to do, but I think it's a different situation in 2022. And I think you're going to need a guy out there who creates and makes plays. And to me, there's evidence of JJ McCarthy doing that throughout the season last year in very limited reps.
Well, Dwayne brings up a good point. If you even want to take the throwing out of it, because some people are like, well, JJ takes too many risks, he's going to throw interception. I think that's unfounded. I don't think that's actually true. He's got a lot of arm talent. He's very accurate. Just because he is a little bit more of a gunslinger and does like to air it out doesn't mean it's going to result in more turnovers. But even if you want to take the throwing aspect out of it, which you can't, I mean, it's very important. But if you did, what he says is 100% true. McCarthy at quarterback opens up that zone read threat that Cade just doesn't have.
That's why they kept bringing him in. I mean, they brought him in specifically for that reason.
So, I mean, dude, we've talked about this at length, and we're going to continue to talk about it because quarterback's that big time position, and Michigan's got a really intriguing option in JJ and a very successful option in Cade, and so it's a natural storyline that people want to talk about, and it's going to continue to pop up.
I do want to say, and I pointed this out in the article that I put out, and I think Cade mentioned it when he was on that podcast, that, and he didn't say it word for word, but basically Michigan's in a really good spot right now with the quarterback position going into 2022. They've got a guy who's got 15 starts under his belt. They got a guy who's won a Big Ten championship, who's played in the college football playoff, and they've got an extremely talented sophomore who looks like he could be, the bridge between where Michigan is now and where they want to be. And so regardless of where you stand on who should start come this fall, I think Michigan's in a really good situation where they have two quarterbacks who can get them to where they need to be. I just think one can take them a little bit further.
Yep. Well, we've talked about it a lot. And on the way out here, Chris, I'm
going
to let you say what you want to say. We talked about it a little bit before we went live, but I said, as I sat down, I just, I'm getting ready. We're about to come on. Chris Jenkins was about to join us. I realized I had a Michigan shirt on. And I don't usually, I don't hide the fact that I grew up a Michigan fan and that I'm a diehard, the shirt I was brought home from the hospital in was Michigan Wolverines brown #1 on the back. Like it's my life, dude. But I try to be as objective as possible. I don't try to let the fandom ooze out of me, but it is there. I don't usually wear Michigan gear on the pod. I don't let it be neat, let it be seen, or let it be known. I think it's a little unprofessional. Today, I got it on. Thoughts?
You look like every other slap that's out there. Just wearing your Michigan shirt, talking Michigan on your Michigan podcast. Look, at you. Grow up, Peter Pan. Get out of your basement. No, man, it looks good. Listen, hey, look at. We're both fans of the program. I feel like sometimes we don't say that enough. Like some of these experiences we have doing this, getting to sit and talk with Kris Jenkins like that and have that experience. Yeah. I just, I'm grateful for it every single day. And so, yeah, we hide our fandom. We try to as much as we can to remain objective and, but at the end of the day, love Michigan.
everything you said is true. I'm wearing a Michigan shirt. I'm a slap. I'm in the basement. I hope to make about $20 this month off this thing we do. You know, we're just out here trying to make it. Malachi, I think this is from one of those
Walmart, probably, right?
No, it's one of those. I don't know if it's a chain, but it's like one of those campus den type stores where they've got like I think I got it from those. I think it was a campus den type of store where they've got like tons of Michigan stuff, tons of Michigan State stuff, CMU, EMU, like all the local college gear. Like you can go and get it there. It's just a long sleeve white tee, says Michigan. That's it. Nothing else.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm not. Damn it, we don't have that one.
Where's Luck?
That's
a great question.
It's a great question.
Oh, damn it.
Story.
That's a wonderful question. Pulled it out, showed it to you.
All right. Well, yeah, no, I'm not apologizing for it at all, John. I'm just saying, I don't know if I've worn Michigan gear on the show before, and it kind of caught me because I just was doing stuff today. I sit down to start, and I'm like, oh, I'm wearing Michigan. Whatever.
You knew what you were doing.
Look at Chris back there. He's putting stuff on his Instagram. He's drooling over Michigan cleats, and he's running up. Chris is like a day and a half shy of becoming autograph guy at the games.
I might.
Yeah. If you guys know those people.
I've only asked for one autograph. In my whole time doing this. I gotta try to massage the teat a little bit.
All right. Let's go ahead and put a bow on this one. And we'll do it again next Wednesday. Are we gonna try to do another guest? What are we doing here?
We'll figure it out. We should get somebody else on.
We'll feel it out. All right. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll be back again on Wednesday.